In order to comply with YouTube's policy on reused content, I recently deleted a lot of my older YouTube videos. Videos where I basically just talked over the trailer to whatever movie or show I happened to be reviewing. But in an attempt to save my old thoughts, I extracted the original audio from most of those videos so I could edit them back into more YouTube-friendly videos. And since I recently rewatched Abominable, I thought it would be a good time to share my old thoughts on that movie. If you want to know my updated thoughts on the film, you can head to my website, davidthemovieguy.com, where you can read how my thoughts may have changed over the years. But without any further ado, here are my thoughts on Abominable as they were originally presented back in 2019.
Animated kids movies are not for me. Yes, I like Pixar, but those are films that can be enjoyed by anyone. They're not meant to be served as background noise to distract your child from being annoying. And DreamWorks Animation has never really done anything to impress me either. Boss Baby, Trolls, Kung Fu Panda, The Croods, even Madagascar. These franchises just aren't for me. There's only been one outlier in the DreamWorks filmography, and that happens to be How to Train Your Dragon. That film is filled with so much heart, it feels like it should have been a Pixar film. Well now, DreamWorks has created a movie that rivals their best franchise to date in Abominable. After discovering a Yeti on the roof of her apartment building, Yi and her two friends embark on an epic quest to reunite the magical creature with his family at the highest point on Earth in Mount Everest. But to do so, they must stay one step ahead of a wealthy financier and a determined zoologist who want to capture the beast for their own personal gain. If that synopsis sounds a little familiar, that's because it's supposed to. Abominable is basically the story of E.T., but set in China, and featuring a Yeti instead of an alien. I know a lot of movies have tried to recapture the magic of E.T. ever since that movie first came out in 1982, but Abominable is different enough to make it stand out above the rest. The film also borrows elements from How to Train Your Dragon, which is smart since that is DreamWorks' best film after all. I mean, Everest, which is the name Yi and her friends give the Yeti, is basically just Toothless in Yeti form. He even acts like a dog and everything. And all of these familiar elements make for a touching and heartwarming experience that is filled with such pathos. I mean, How to Train Your Dragon meets E.T.? That doesn't sound so bad, does it? My biggest issue with the movie is that, and I know I'm gonna get a lot of hate for saying this, it's kiddish. Abominable feels like a movie that should have been rated G and not PG. Everything is overly simplistic and the kiddie humor can be unbearable at times. Which isn't to say that I didn't enjoy everything. I did enjoy the simplistic nature of the narrative, and when the humor did land, I was holding my stomach, surprised by how much I was actually laughing. I'm just saying I don't like how overly childlike some of the stuff felt, if that makes sense. I don't know. There's a difference between Inside Out and Cars 2, right? It's a palpable difference that you can just feel that separates the two movies from being a kids movie and a movie that everyone, including kids, can enjoy, right? And it seems like Abominable can often fall into the former category. I believe I said something similar with How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World. It felt a little too kiddish in parts. And I only meant that because, well, it's true. Hiccup is literally a kid in the first movie, so it makes sense that he would be acting his age. But by the time The Hidden World is rolling around, he is supposed to be coming into adulthood, yet he is still acting like an immature and naive 12-year-old, in parts. But since Abominable is the first in this franchise, I can also forgive the subject matter for being light in nature. But if they ever were going to make a sequel, then I hope the characters mature along with the audience. Abominable also has a weird animation style that makes it feel all the more childlike. That being said, I did enjoy how fluid the character models moved, and the landscape shots are absolutely beautiful. There is a gorgeous use of color in this movie. Everything is vivid and feels very lively. I guess the voice acting is solid as well. Nothing particularly stood out to me, but the characters do feel endearing, so I guess I'll attribute some of that to the voice actors. Chloe Bennett is fine, Eddie Izzard and Sarah Paulson are good. Honestly, I have no complaints from the voice cast, aside from Albert Tsai as Ping. only because I feel like some digital altering was done to his voice, and since I don't really know what his voice actually sounds like, I couldn't help but feel distracted by that fact. But if it feels like I've mostly been negative in this review, then I'd like to make it clear that I do love this movie. I think it's one of the best original animations I've seen in a long time. As far as animations are concerned, it would only be my third favorite of the year, behind Pixar's Toy Story 4 and Dragon Ball Super Broly, which is honestly still my favorite movie of the year. But Abominable is a nice, simplistic, and heartwarming story that teaches kids about family and culture and the riches of traveling. It also had something to say about the negative impacts of keeping yourself busy just to distract yourself from the pain of your problems. I guess I just appreciated this sweet and adorable little movie about a Yeti way more than I expected to, because I would probably give Abominable 4 out of 5 stars. Thanks for watching.